Hi guys, welcome back to Hair Dry Treatment with me, Soph. As usual, the Soph and Meg show, a weekly episode. Meg is with me. How you doing, Meg?
Very good, thank you. Welcome back, everybody. Firstly, I just want to say it's also thank you so much to everyone who's fed into our show so far and given us feedback. We've had such good positive feedback about it so far, so we're loving it and I'm really enjoying it. So if you want to keep giving us positive feedback, you know where to go.
Love that. Yeah, I must admit the response on Twitter, Instagram, and obviously on YouTube as well has been very positive, and I really appreciate the support from everyone that we've been having. Because you know what, two women talking about football, not everybody appreciates that. So yeah, massive love to everybody who's been supporting us. Really do appreciate it. We're doing a bit of a different show tonight. Obviously, we've done our United Ultimate 11. We've done our preview at the weekend as well. Today, we're talking about rows, racism, and red cards. But I think there's a lot of talking points at the moment, particularly with racism, that me and Meg want to give our opinions on. So Meg, what are you thinking about this show tonight? How are you feeling?
Me, it's not all doom and gloom. I'm going to put it out there because rails racing and red card, there's so much to discuss in football at the moment about it. It's just absolutely going off. We've almost lost that football element. We're all talking about everything else that isn't to do, with kicking a ball. It's everything that comes with it. But I think it's highlighting how much. Well, we're talking about it now, and everyone else is talking about it. How much impact it's having on the game. So I think it's important to discuss it. I think it goes sometimes beyond football, and that's something it's bigger than football in terms of the racism. But I think it's still important that because so many people watch or are involved, play, coach, however you are involved in the game, there are millions of people that we can get out to. So I think discussing it here and using football as a platform is brilliant in terms of creating a positive impact on racism.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've said this numerous times on my channel. Football is not welcome anywhere. Racism is not welcome anywhere in football, but in particular in the world. Like, we do not tolerate racism. We will never tolerate racism. And I'm completely on board with the people being sanctioned because of racism. I think that there needs to be a stop. I think there needs to be drastic action taken to prevent it from happening. And obviously today action has been taken against Bernardo Silva, which is something we're going to discuss shortly. But yeah, I think more needs to be done globally to support and put a stop to racism, because at the end of the day, it's 2019. We shouldn't still be having these discussions. It's sad. It's a sad reflection on the world that we are. There's some vile people out there. And yeah, I just think it's horrible. But we'll start with the rows anyway. Sterling against Gomez obviously was the most recent row that has happened. Meg, what's your take on that? I spoke a bit about it on my channel yesterday. What's your opinions on it?
I think it's a hard one, really. I mean, to have such a big game the day before an international break. I mean, scheduled fixtures, that could have been a first place play, 8th place and a nothing game, but it happened to be first place play what they are now, 4th, but, 2 title contenders. So to have such a big game only hours before the team meeting up for England, but it takes you back to those days when, Ferdinand's talked about before, when there's Ferdinand, Lampard, Gerrard in the team, and they've been divided, they've sat at separate tables. And I do believe Southgate brought the team together and eradicated that whole team atmosphere and split mentality in the camp. But when you get 2 players, and Sterling's obviously still emotional about the game, it's still red raw, walking in, and because of that, it's heightened senses. Something about they've come in and Gomez is laughing with some of the other players and he's taking it to heart. Well, they've clashed less than 24 hours before in a game that's so important during the season for your club. And then you're coming in and then there's that going on. But for me, he could have, I don't know, should he have done it? Should he have just sorted it out internally rather than let it leak out? Because it just puts all the attention back on Sterling. This guy has gone through absolute shit. He's gone through it. He's gone. He's had the media against him. He's had fans against him. He's had everyone. Not everyone against him, and now all of a sudden he's worked through that. He's become one of our most crucial players for England, and now all we're going to talk about is the fact that he got one lad round the neck. There's 20 plus men in a room that have got one thing in common, but then are split and divided because they play for different clubs. They're bound to clash at times. stereotypically, how do men deal with clashes?
Yeah.
You know, they're not like women who go and bitch about, you know, don't at people on Twitter. They go out and they physically sort it out. So the fact that then Gomez has, you know, pleaded for him not to be sent home, it's just, I don't know. I'm glad that it's eradicated, you know, it's sorted and it's kind of been dealt with.
Yeah.
But he's set a precedence now that he's dropped him. So, you know, from now on, players, you know, are we going to see players being dropped for different things? Who knows?
Yeah, I think the whole thing with this, I think it boils down to Southgate and how he's dealt with it. And for me, it should never have been leaked to the press in the first place. I think that's the issue. I think Sterling obviously has got a winning mentality. He is a champion. He wants to be a champion again, and I can completely understand why it's got to him as much as it has. Obviously, it doesn't justify going out and physically assaulting Gomez in the way that apparently he has. But for me, this news on Sterling should never ever have gone out into the press, for example. It should never have been leaked. And I genuinely think that's an issue that Southgate needs to deal with internally. I think the second that it comes out, the second that it breaks out into the media, I think they're going to use that obviously against Sterling. We all know the target's Sterling anyway, regardless. But I think this now gives them a reason to. And like you say, Sterling's already been through a lot. I completely agree with it. And I think he's got a champion's mentality, and I think that's why it's boiled over. But I think the problem internally should have been dealt with. It shouldn't have been leaked to the press, and I think that is what it boils down to. I think it's the nature of the way it's been dealt. I think it's natural for men to carry their emotions, like you say, into the next day, into the camp. I think it's natural for him to want to confront Gomez after they've been pushing and whatever on the pitch. But it could have been dealt with better, in my opinion, Meg.
Yeah, and I think, you know, he's come out and said, like, players have supported his decision. You know, that needs not to be said, really, because that's just going to start creating divides. You know, he's punished him. Sterling's come out and he's taken responsibility, which I think is a credit to him, because he could have just hid away. You know, he could have just come out and apologised and not really half-heartedly apologised. But for me, he's come out and he's taken responsibility, which is a big thing. But I just think it heaps this whole load of unwanted attention back onto him. And like I said, you know, it's a natural kind of way to deal with emotions at times. You know, people get angry and he's taking things the wrong way. But it's just a shame. You know, it's the 1000th game. I think there's something going on for the black players in the team as well, which it would have been nice. And it's, you know, it's such a big occasion. There will be other big occasions that no doubt he will be involved in. But to have that, and he's now missed out on that opportunity. It's sad to see. He'll be watching it, not playing in the game. So
yeah, and I think we also have to credit Sterling. Say he's probably been our best player for England now for the last few games. I mean, he's been the guy in form, hasn't he? For City and for England, I think he's played quality. So I think it is a shame. I agree. Let's see what a few people are saying in the chat. P. Conrad, hello, Soph and Meg. Hi, P. Conrad. Hope you're good. Mr. E says, hey Soph, hey Meg, and he's spot on. He says, like, share and subscribe. Please go do that, guys. Really appreciate it. Disdain said, Raheem is a smart one. More rest time, he. So he's thinking it's tactical and getting a bit of time off there. So it's this. Football Crew Show says, will you be doing a FIFA Career Mode series on your channel? Football Crew, I will, definitely. My PlayStation at the moment, I've explained this, it sounds like it's about to take off or about to blow up, hence why I haven't been doing the FIFA streams, because I'm scared that it's going to explode in my face live or something like that. It's not sounding healthy at the moment. So yeah, it's out the way, but hopefully they'll sort it out, and I will be back up and running with the FIFA streams, and I am going to be playing against some of you guys, so don't think I'm purposely ignoring you. That will be up and running, guys. It's just technical issues at the moment with my PlayStation. PS5 obviously isn't long away, so I'm going to get a PS5 when they do come out. That's why I'm reluctant to buy a new PS4 right now. Unless you guys want to sponsor me for one, that'd be great. But yeah, that's the reasoning behind it, guys. I am not putting it off. It's genuinely down to my PlayStation at the moment. P. Conrad says, thoughts on Chong not signing a new contract at United. Meg, I'll let you start with that one.
Interesting, really, because I've seen a lot of people say, you know, not really bothered, and I'm kind of feeling the same. I think he is talented, but I don't quite think he's there right now. And whether that means we, you know, potentially just loan him out, why not? You know, you've seen that with Chelsea. They've gone out and loaned. You know, they got the sack for it, but they went out and loaned players, and then have had them back. And look at the likes of Abraham now and Mount. There, you know, they're doing so well in the league. But our young players, we seem to like hype them all up. They don't cut it, and then we get rid of them. For me, he isn't cutting it right now. He does a lot of running. I don't see a lot of anything else.
Yeah.
You know, and I've seen it in the in under 23s and but we're not playing that. We're playing fully grown men, and he's doing a lot of running, but not getting anywhere for me. So I wouldn't be shocked if he goes. I wouldn't overly be disappointed, but I do think it should be more of a loan deal rather than just get rid.
Yeah, I'm very similar with Chong. I think he's very talented, as you say. I think he's not on the same level as like Greenwood, for example. Even Gomez, I think, definitely got more chance of playing in the first team at United at the moment. A loan, I think, would be good experience for him, so he gets more game time, like you say, playing against fully grown men. I do think he seems a bit lightweight at times. He's definitely very quick, and he's shown in flashes what he can do, but not to the level for me where I'm thinking, whoa, this kid can be a starter for United. But at the same time, I do appreciate that you know what, our squad is very weak, and these kids are being thrown on with a lot of pressure on their shoulders, Greenwood included. We're relying on these kids at the moment to be our highlight, if you like. We're relying on these kids to change the game. They're coming onto the pitch with teams that, let's face it, we're not playing well. They're coming onto the pitch to play in a mood that, especially when Chong has been brought on, in a mood that hasn't been the most positive, in a team that seemed quite low on confidence, isn't creating many chances, and bear in mind he's an attacking player. And going forwards, we haven't looked very exciting at all, and I think that there's a lot of pressure on his shoulders as well. I think a loan would be a good experience for him, but I genuinely do not think he's on the same kind of level as Gomez and Greenwood. From what I've seen of him, the snippets that I've seen, Garner as well is another player that has definitely impressed me. I think he's taken his chances when he's been brought on. Chong is yet to do that for me.
Yeah, totally agree. Like, he's not got that kind of wow factor just yet. Like you said, they probably are under so much pressure, but they're not also getting the game time. You know, they're getting 20 minutes here and there to try and change the game, or they're getting cup games. That's why I think if you go and loan them and so that you can go and get experience, to go and play football, more often and have that time on the pitch to just bring up their game really and to bring their style of play into it. And I think that's what that's why you use loans for, to go and give players time. Like, look at Smalling, he wasn't getting time. Now look at him at Roma. You know, I'm not saying that he's young, but I'm saying that he's had that opportunity, and look at how he's been increased now. So we should utilise these. I don't really see us utilising loans like other teams have done.
Yeah, Memphis Depay is an interesting one. I've just seen a comment here saying, how would I feel about us re-signing? Mick says, how would you feel about re-signing Memphis Depay? Obviously, I think something was said recently by the Leon chairman. It may have been maybe the manager. I'm not quite sure who it was, but they said Manchester United basically have first dibs on what happens with Memphis Depay. We have the first choice, the first option really, as to where he goes. Would you take him back at United?
Yeah, I think I would. I mean, it's so hard with players that are playing in a different league to bring them back into the Premier League. It's such a different style of football in the Premiership compared to everywhere else, I think, really. Look at, the different leagues, and they're sometimes slower or they're more skillful, whereas you've got to have a bit of everything in the Premier League. So to bring him back, we didn't, we lost a bit at Manchester United. We never got the best out of him.
Yeah.
Like Di Maria, we never got the best out of him. So if we're bringing him out, we need to be confident. If we're bringing him back, we need to be confident that we are going to get the same Memphis Depay that we're all witnessing now back in the team. Yeah,
I think any attacking player at the moment coming in is going to struggle with the nature of the way that the team is playing. I think that we're lacking that creative midfielder, the person who's going to feed the ball to the likes of Memphis. I think Memphis is a very good player. However, is he consistent enough? That's one thing that he's yet to prove to me. But we've seen in flashes. He has moments of that absolute brilliance where he's absolute quality. And yeah, I think my heart says I would love to see Memphis back at United. To see pictures of him with Beckham on his shirt and stuff like that. And it's like emotional for me. I would love to see him back at United, and I would love to see him make it, because you see in flashes how good he is. But at United, we need characters, we need leaders, and for me, Memphis seems like the type who, if it's not going his way, he'll throw his toys out the pram. I don't know if he's got the right mentality to be, especially at the moment, to be at United, because obviously times are hard. Is he really going to fight for the club? Is he really going to fight for the badge? Or is he going to sulk on the side? And he strikes me as the kind of player who will sulk. And that might be a bit harsh, I know, because obviously I don't know him, but strikes me as that kind of player who's not really going to graft. He's not going to be the guy who's putting his neck on the line. And like I say, the way that we are playing at the moment anyway, I think any attacking player is going to struggle. I think Dan James has been our biggest threat, and that's down to his pace. He starts the majority of our counter-attacks, and he's literally box-to-box. Memphis is not that player. Memphis isn't going to track back the way that Dan James does. And I think he'll struggle. My heart says I would love to see him back at United, but my head says that no, he's not the right guy for us.
Yeah, I think I've just seen someone on the chat saying we don't need him. But you look at other teams, and they're fighting for that first 11 spot. At United, I don't know. You can probably guess who's going to be playing. Really, there are a couple that are, with Pogba being out, and when he comes back, there might be, a bit of a fight for that midfield spot. But right now, your back five straight off. The front three were all saying the same thing. There's not really that competition.
Do you know your back five though? I'm gonna throw a little curveball in there. Do you know your back five? Because I'm guessing you're counting Lindelof as being a member of that back five. For me, I don't know. I don't think he should be. I think he's liability, and I've said this from the off really with Lindelof. I think he has improved, but I think he's a weak link, man. I genuinely believe that. I think Tuanzebe would start over him, in my opinion. I think he's got the right attributes for it. I know he's injured at the moment, and of course, I completely agree. But I don't think Lindelof's safe in his position. I genuinely don't trust him there. I don't know if Ollie trusts him there as well. I don't know if he's the right partner for Maguire.
Yeah, I was going to say, like I said, Tuanzebe's injured, so your back five right now. There's no one else really, I think, you'd put in.
Jones?
We know our back five. So you think that it is that midfield three that perhaps have got the hardest competition to get in. But you look at the likes of Man City and Liverpool, they've got players that are you don't really know their starting 11 until they're announced.
Mm.
But with United, I think the majority of time it's pretty consistent, especially in the Premier League, obviously in and out of cups, it changes about. But to have someone like Depay, it would just bring in that competition for players, and that's when you do start seeing players get the best out of each other because they're having to fight, they're having to showcase themselves. So the more and the better signings that we can get, really, in a balance. So I'm not saying sign everyone, but we need some more, I think, to give us that extra competition.
I completely agree. I think we lack massive competition. I mean, Jesse Lingard, how he still plays for me at the moment, it baffles me. It doesn't really bring anything to United. We all know the stats that go behind Jesse Lingard's game at the moment as well. But realistically, what competition does he have? I've said this before, Ollie looks at his bench and he hasn't really got a lot to choose from in terms to bring on. Players know that. Players realise when they're not being pushed and when they haven't got competition, and I think that's a massive part of it as well. But we've said before, is that down to Ollie not buying the players, or is that down to him not being backed by the board? That's something that we genuinely will never know unless Ollie speaks out about it, and I think he obviously takes the brunt of the blame, definitely. Interesting point here by Andre. He says, Chong has not been given a fair go yet. He should have gone on loan. He's young but needs more tools. The loan would have served him. MUFC do not know how to handle talent. My bad. Bad management. Do you agree with that? I think a loan would be good for Chong, and I agree he hasn't been given as much chances. Gomez has kind of vanished off the face of the earth as well of late. He hasn't been given as many chances in the first team.
Yeah.
He's one who I want to see more of, if I'm being totally honest. Greenwood obviously is getting time, but that is, again, down to the lack of squad strength. Do you think Chong should be given more time? Do you think we haven't seen enough of him to judge him?
No, I think he has had opportunities, admittedly off the bench, but I do think this is why we need to loan players. I feel like we are reluctant at the moment because of the amount of injuries that we've got and the squad size that we're not using utilising loans, and we are reluctant to move players on in terms of just giving him out for a season or half a season loan. If he goes in January for half a season, go and get some game time and then come back to us. Surely, for me, I'm looking at that saying that's a win-win. Go out and get game time and then come back to us.
Yeah. I mean, I know Gomez has had his injuries as well, that's affected it, but yeah. Turbo Warrior sent in a super chat, really appreciate that. It comes in with our Rose topic that we are on at the moment. We talk about Chong and contract issues, but we're talking about Rose in football. Xhaka and Emery obviously had their Rose. Says, I read up on Granit Xhaka as he talks about his ordeal. To think fans demand an apology after the abuse they gave him paints a dismal picture of us. Yeah, I agree with that. And I said that at the time. I said people were giving Xhaka stick, and at the same time, I recall there was stick given to his wife on Instagram. after she'd just given birth to their child. There was people giving death threats. He's had so much abuse as captain of Arsenal. A lot of the blame has gone on his shoulders, and it's not all him. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure he'll hold his hands up and admit he's been underperforming. However, he has taken a lot of abuse, and he's human at the end of the day. Meg, I remember you saying that not long ago. He's human, and he's like an elastic band. It can only take so much, and then he's going to snap. And unfortunately, it was that game where he snapped, of course. And I'm not justifying how he reacted and saying it was right. However, you can kind of understand where he was coming from. And I do think it's right to strip him of the captaincy, not because I don't like Jack or I'm completely against what he did. I just think for the nature of the club and for the nature of him, it's a bit more pressure off his shoulders. I think that was the right decision. But I did feel for Jack in that situation.
Like you mentioned, I think fans sometimes forget that players are still human beings with feelings, and it ties it in perfectly, really, with this whole rows and racism. You've seen the way that players have started to react with racism. Just because they are paid millions of pounds, I don't feel like, they aren't subject to abuse. You can criticise their performances, but not abuse a player. And I think there is a fine line between it, and I think that fine line is just being washed out at the moment. Fans and just people in general, I'm not saying that they are specifically fans, because I don't really feel like a true fan wouldn't personally abuse a player.
There's trolls out there. There's trolls out there, aren't there?
Yeah, there are fans that can criticise the performance, and we both spoke about players not being on form and how it's disappointing, and when they come with a certain price tag that we expect that they should be playing at a certain standard, which is totally fine. And I'm perfectly happy to hear fans come out and say, I think you should be playing better, that's fine. To then go over the line and step over it and say, anything to do with skin colour, their family,
anything other than football, isn't it, basically?
Off the pitch. Why shouldn't he react like that?
Yeah.
Why should he have to come out and apologise when he's not getting a personal apology from all of them people in that stadium? Well, not all the people, but the fans that were in that stadium that gave him abuse, or the fans that have been online and given him abuse, or the fans who have racially abused players. They're not standing coming up and apologising. So there is a balance. I liked when he came out and he's taken responsibility for it, but he didn't automatically just say, I'm really sorry, have me back, blah, blah, blah. No, he's come out and he said, well, actually, this is how I feel about the situation, and I'm really happy about that, actually.
Yeah,
so.
I agree. And Turbobury agrees with you, Meg, said you're spot on. Obviously, players are human at the end of the day. Abuse is unwarranted. You shouldn't even say it to kids at a local game. It makes you a scumbag. And I agree. Like, at the end of the day, football is football. And quite frankly, some people need to get a life. I mean, if you're willing to go out your way so much to give someone so much personal abuse, I saw people mouthing off at Aubameyang as well. He's their best player, for crying out loud, and people were literally giving him stick. And I'm thinking, you know what, you must be really low. And like you say, to me, that is not a true fan. Lukaku, I gave him plenty of stick, but no way would I go on to talk about his skin colour or go and target his wife or his family or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? It's purely football. It's purely talking about the game, and you can't go around harassing people. You wouldn't go and say that to someone to the face, so why do it online, for one? I just do not agree with it at all. I mean, I've had my own stick online, I've had my own hate, and there's trolls out there, like you mentioned, and to me that's not a football fan, that is simply a troll. Alex Marmon, thank you so much for the super chat. Says, hi ladies, what was shocking was the fact that a referee red-carded, a player was red-carded for reacting to racist abuse he was receiving during a match in Ukraine. I'm about to talk about that one in our racism topic. So yeah, we'll move on to the racism. I just want to mention P. Conrad has said United midfield should be me, Meg and Pogba. I'm up for that. What about you, Meg? I'm up for that.
I'm happy with that, as long as I get the number 6 shirt though, so...
You can have
Pogba's surely to step aside.
Yeah, that's fine. He's got to hand it over, Meg. Does he know who you are at the end of the day? Come on.
I'll just stroll in, mate, I'll have that shirt, please.
Yeah, thank you so much, Alex, for the super chat. Yeah, Tyson, obviously, game in Ukraine, is getting, from the away fans, a lot of racist abuse. He stuck his finger up at the fans, kicked the ball towards the fans, and then he walked off the pitch in tears after receiving a red card. For me, that is absolutely disgusting. Why wasn't the protocol used anyway for racist behaviour in the first place? The ref is completely in the wrong for doing that. I completely support Tyson. in his decision to do what he did, if I'm totally honest. I know it's only a handful of fans, but at the end of the day, as you've just mentioned, people are human at the end of the day, and they cannot keep standing for this abuse. Racism needs to stop, and more needs to be done to prevent it. Meg, did you see the clip of Tyson?
I have seen the clip, and you just mentioned it's only a handful of people. That handful of people is still too many.
Yeah, one person is too
even
much.
One person racially, shouts racist abuse, that's too much. It doesn't matter how many people are doing it. It's the fact that it's still there. And I've got a family of my family is mixed, so I've got children of mixed race, and if anyone was to say anything to them, when the England game was on, I had to sit down with my 4-year-old and explain why they've stopped the game, because they're shouting shouting nasty things, and it's about their skin colour. Well, why? And it's coming down now to teaching people, and it hasn't happened, and that's why we're still having to discuss racism in 2019. Yeah. But that clip just shows, he was in tears. Well, why is that acceptable? Like you said, why the protocol wasn't used, but to then he himself be punished because how he's got a red card. So he's been racially abused and he got a red card. It just does not make sense. We're meant to be supporting these players that are going through racial abuse at the moment, and I just don't feel like we are. We're almost not we, the real we, as in the top lot, are supporting the fans who are racially abusing them.
Yeah, I agree, and I think more needs to be done. I want to see more teams, if their teammate is being racially abused, just walk off the pitch. I want to see a team doing that to support this player. I think that needs to be done more often. I think England should have done it against Bulgaria. If I'm honest, I know there's an element of fair play to them, they absolutely battered them. And after a bit, I was thinking I want them to get 10 goals. I want them to embarrass Bulgaria, obviously, for it. But part of me thinks, I wish they would have just walked off and made a proper statement about it. I think more needs to be done. I'd like to think, obviously, I know it's a different level, but if we're playing in a game, for example, when we played together, if one of our teammates was being racially abused, I would have the courage to walk off and back that player. I think as a team, if you walk off, I think that makes a massive statement. Does that need to happen more, Meg, in your opinion, for some movement to get going? Because it isn't improving. You'll never completely eradicate it. I think that's impossible, and that's because there are scumbags in the world, there are sick people in the world. There will always be people like that, sadly, and we have no control over that. But I think as a whole in football, more needs to be done, and I want to see more teams walking off.
I think it's down to the players, I think, really, and the management on the night. But the punishment for the ones who are shouting the abuse, or the team or the country, whatever, wherever it's coming from, that's where it needs to be set in stone, because the Bulgaria punishment was not enough.
Nope.
And it was very clear, the racial abuse. It wasn't hidden, it was seen on telly, it was caught on camera.
They were wearing T-shirts to advertise.
There was no respect, on those T-shirts. So, for me, why they didn't punish them properly, and they've just kind of said, well, it's almost like they've swept it under the carpet, we'll give you a second chance. No, it was so obvious that night that I think there should have been a harsher punishment. Would they then have thought about it in second, again, and think, well, actually, our whole country's going to be punished, well, our country's team will be punished? Well, they probably still will come out and do it, but, and I'm not just saying, oh, no fans at the game. No, you cut them out of the competition, you're done, you had your chance. And it's like, the clubs, down to the club, we're going to talk about Bernardo Silva's punishment today.
Yeah.
We're just fines. We're just plucking. I feel like we're just plucking numbers out the air. Oh, give me, he's got 7 people lined up, and he's like, right, you give me your favourite number. You give me your favourite number, and he's like, write them down. He's like, right, there's your fine.
Yeah, I feel like it's almost like a lucky dip, like you say. Like there's screwed up pieces of paper in a jar. Whichever you pull out, that's going to be your punishment, and that is how it feels right now. So Bernardo Silva's dipped his hand in, he's pulled it out. He's had a 50k fine. He's going to have some education based around racism, and obviously a game ban, I believe it is.
Yeah, 1 game ban.
Yeah, is that enough, Meg, in your opinion, for what Bernardo Silva did? I mean, for him, he said it was banter between him and obviously a teammate. It was all taken in jest, and Do you think that punishment was right for him? Because at the end of the day, in my opinion, he's a high-profile player. This was a situation where they could really make a statement and obviously try and stamp out racism and try and be really bold with a punishment. Have they been bold enough in your opinion?
This is the thing. I don't really know what is bold because it's been so diverse in the punishments. There's no kind of like structure to the punishment. We don't really know. Well, this isn't very bold because someone else has had a bigger fine, but now he's got a match ban and he didn't. The clubs haven't had the Bulgaria didn't get a match. Do you know what I mean? Like they haven't struck against someone else. You look at it and you think, well, is it bold or isn't it bold? Or was the Bulgaria one, they've been fined more now, so, was that the right decision?
Yeah.
I think if there was an actual structure and FIFA, and I think this really needs to be done from the top level, in every country we need to have this exactly the same, regardless of whether, but if you're in League 2 and you racially abuse somebody and you haven't got the money to pay because the fines is that high, well... Yeah. That's, you've got to think about what you're doing as a player as well. You're representing teams. Yeah.
Wasn't a Yeovil game, talking about League 2 and lower leagues, wasn't there a Yeovil game or another team game that was abandoned or postponed due to racism from fans? I think it might have been, and obviously that game was cancelled due to it. So, I agree with you, more needs to be done about it. But Bernardo Silva, I think they could have made a real statement here with a player of such high profile at a big club like City. I don't know. I'm the same as you, Meg. What would be a suitable punishment for racism?
I just think I'd like to see a structured punishment. So it's out there for everyone to say this is what happens if you racially abuse somebody, or a team racially abuses another team, or a country fan racially abuse players. This is what happens, because at the moment we're all like, well, will they get a fine? Do they get a ban? Do they get matches behind closed? We don't know what's coming after the abuse. So a more structured punishment would be the way forward for me.
Yeah, and I think I want to compare it a bit to racism. Obviously, we had the Andy Gray, Richard Keys incident, didn't we, with the lineswoman? When they were caught obviously making sexist remarks, and they both lost their jobs as a result of that. What do you do with a football fan though? Because you can't exactly make them lose their jobs, or can you? How do you reprimand a fan? It's so hard to manage, and I appreciate that. However, something needs to be done about it.
Yeah, I think. Well, if you look at fans, they can't lose their jobs as such, can they? Because they just turn up.
If they're arrested for racism, then
the ability to go and get tickets.
Yeah.
Somehow, I know that comes. I'm just like plucking ideas out of the head. I'm not like sat down and got a whole list of how it would work.
Yeah.
But you're looking and saying, "Wow, how can we address the fact that they have got holders tickets?" So there's got to be kind of that kind of punishment. But with players, and especially, this goes back to in England. With Ferdinand, who racially abused him?
What, Terry?
Terry racially abused?
Yeah.
I literally can't think right now.
It was Terry, wasn't it? Was it John Terry?
No, I didn't. You look like there was nothing really, was there, punishment wise? So
smack on the hand, maybe. There's a good point here from Andre. He says, let me read it out. The sponsors should just contact FIFA, UEFA, and the Premier League and say if they do not construct substantial fines, they will remove their brand sponsorship because they do not want such alignment. So they lose all their sponsorship deals, which would be a big sum of money, of course. How do you feel about that?
Well, it's something that it's hard, isn't it? Because if the fans racially abuse players, the team gets punished, but not. It's whether you say right. Not your 3 warnings, but you've had fans that have racially abused it. If you haven't dealt with the situation, then we will leave. So what you're putting into place. So as long as you can start proving that you are reacting to the abuse, then I do agree it's something to consider, isn't it? Like if I was sponsoring someone or a team and they were racially, they were known for racially abusing other players, I wouldn't want to be aligned with them. No, so
I agree, and it was Anton Ferdinand and Terry. It was John Terry. I thought it was.
Thank you, everyone. Just lost the plot.
That's the plot. So sponsorship thing is an interesting point. I think it's frustrating because, for example, in my line of work, I work in a school. If I am racist to a colleague or to a child, I'm being reported. I'm going to lose my job. Basically, I'm sacked. But for a football fan, like you say, you can say, "Oh yeah, you're banned for life. You can't have a season ticket." They'll find a way of buying tickets. There's touts who sell tickets for ridiculous money, for example, and people can get tickets. So unless they're actually seen on CCTV and they're proven to do it, that's the only way really they're going to be reprimanded and punished for it. And I think it's complex, it's horrible, and it needs to stop, and we need to think of a way to prevent it from happening. Because the black players who were suffering, Tyson, for example, leaving the pitch in tears, I felt so sorry for him when I saw that clip, and I think more needs to be done to support players like that. Like we've already said many times, they're human at the end of the day.
What I will say about it, though, it is obviously a lot bigger than football.
Yeah,
worldwide,
global, yeah.
This is just... Football's just a platform for them to showcase their abuse. So, for me, if that's what it's coming to, football in general have to take a stance on it, and we have to be willing to put our foot down and showing that actually we won't accept it, which might only be 5% of the whole problem, but if we start a movement on it, then hopefully it spreads the education to the younger generations, and it starts to decrease during the years.
Yeah. I mean, the worrying thing for me is the amount of examples we've seen recently. Abraham, obviously, there's racist abuse from Chelsea fans regarding him when he missed a penalty. Rashford had the same abuse after he missed a penalty. Balotelli recently in Italy as well, another situation where he's kicked the ball into the crowd. The protocol was used there. In the end, they came back out and they replayed, didn't they? Apparently on Balotelli said so for me, that game should not have continued. Tyson, I've already mentioned. Sterling, we all know what he's gone through regarding racism. These are examples, big, and like you've said, football is just a platform. There's a lot that goes on, but that's just in the mainstream, in the big leagues, high-profile media. That's recently. That's what's happened recently, and that puts it into perspective for me for how many times racism is occurring, how much it is a problem in the world, not just in football, but in the world, and how much it needs to be tackled, because it's scary. It's scary to think that people are in tears trying to do their job, for example. I think it's horrible, and it needs to be dealt with, definitely. Let's see what other people are saying in the chat. P. Conrad says, do Manchester United players like Lingard, Pogba, and everyone in the squad banned from social media? Soph and Meg, do you think they should be banned from social media? I think that is the question that P. Conrad is asking.
You can't stop. But there's a certain fine line between being on social media and using it for positive things and being on social media and being a prat on it. It's a nice way for fans to interact with players, and you've seen recently Rashford's brought a fan over from America, I think it was, and that's what it should be used for, in my opinion. And they have got lives outside of football, and it's the thing that's in everyone's day-to-day life, isn't it?
Yeah.
We can't stop a footballer from going on social media, but I think when you are a player and we've both been in a team and you represent that team, as long as somebody knows that you're playing for that team, when you're, even at this level, when we played, when you see somebody else out and they're like, oh, you play for so-and-so club, well, yeah, you're still representing that club. So if you start mouthing off and doing whatever, it can still get back to the club, and that's obviously on a higher level in the Premiership.
Yeah.
So they're still representing the club, whether they're online or whether they're out and about. So if they are online, they obviously need to be aware of what they're doing on there. And like I said, it can be used for positive influences. So I don't agree they should be off it completely, but I think there obviously needs to be some sort of line at the moment, especially when your club isn't playing well. It's all great when we're all winning and we're all loving it, but when we're not, we all start to look at points and weaknesses and places to blame. And I think social media and players online, it started to take the blame of why we're not playing well. But
yeah, I agree. I think people say, back in the day you wouldn't have that, but back in the day you didn't have the social networking like we do have today. We do rely on it a lot for obviously sponsorship reasons as well. Players have got their own accounts and whatnot, and a lot of the time, in all fairness, players do not control their own accounts. It is all commercial now. We know how much money is in football and how much money rules football. It's a business at the end of the day. But yeah, I agree. I think there's timing as well. I think if you've just been battered in a game, for example, and you're posting stuff the next day of you laughing and joking and smiling and whatnot, I think there's timing. There's a right and a wrong time to do that. But I agree. I think you can't take people off social media. However, they need to be using it in the correct way. Yeah, that's my opinion on that basically.
Yeah.
But red cards. There's been a few obviously recently. I'm going to start with the Son and Gomez one. Obviously, that's now been overruled. He wasn't banned following it, but VAR for me should have intervened at that point. It was obvious that it was the way that Gomez landed, the way he got caught in the turf. That was the reason why the red card was given. I felt so sorry for Son following that incident as well. But yeah, VAR needs to be used clearer. I mean, the Tyson one, we can link that in as well. He got a red card following the racist abuse that he was given. For me, it's wrongly being given as well. And then Ajax against Chelsea. The second red card for me is the issue, not the Daily Blind one, but the other one where it's hit his arm in the box. It wasn't like he saved it like a goalkeeper. His hand was near to his body. Yes, fair enough, give the penalty based on the rule that if it hits your hand, and whether you mean it or not, if it hits your hand and it's preventing obviously a goal scoring opportunity, then that is rightly given. However, to give a second yellow card for that and send the player off after you've just sent another player off as well, I think it was ludicrous from the ref, and I think it absolutely ruined that game. It was a great game. Even with 10 men, Ajax, I think, could have still scored. With 9 men, they looked like they could still manage to score. But for me, it spoilt it. I think it was bad refereeing. I think VAR should have definitely got involved there. I think they were wrong to give the second yellow. Shortly after it, Abraham, obviously the goal was disallowed from, I think it was Aspilicueta, because he hit Abraham's arm. He wasn't booked for that. So why on earth was the Ajax player booked and got sent off for that? What do you think about that one, Meg?
I agree with you, to be honest. Keep it short and simple on this one, really, because for me, if you look at every other sport, there's a very clear set of rules, and it's yes or a no. And if there is any technology-based systems to support it, again, it goes back to being yes or a no. Or at least you can see or hear the conversation, especially in rugby.
Yeah.
Them talking through it and saying, yes, yes or no. Or with football, I feel like it's very based on opinion again. So even with a technology-based system with VAR in place, we're still basing it on opinion. And the red cards, I just don't, the rest obviously looked at it and gone, it's a red, it's yellow, which is obviously it's secondly gone into a red.
Yeah.
It's down to opinion again, and if we've got this technology-based system in place, then why aren't we referring to it in a manner where we say, you've got it wrong, retract the card? I just don't know. Like, I agree with you on that, the handball especially. Yeah. It wasn't a yellow card for me.
Yeah. I think when you look at it, when goal line technology came in, just in the chat there mentioning it, when that came in, it was so effective, and we use it now, and I think it's absolutely fantastic. And yes, we needed goal line technology. That technology, I think, is suitable for the game. But VAR, I mean, refs don't even go and check the monitor now like they should do. They don't do that. I think it takes a long time to make a decision. You can't celebrate a goal without checking first, and I think it takes the element of emotion out of it as well. But ultimately, it's still some guy sat behind a monitor who's making the decision. Yes, he's looking at it and slowing it down and looking at different angles or whatever, but he's still making the decision ultimately. So again, it's human error, isn't it? It's down to a matter of opinion, like you say. And yeah, I think it's harsh that red card for Ajax. I still say no. I think it ruined the game for them. I was so gutted when it happened. And fair play to them. They still look like they could have gone and scored a goal, even with 9 men against Chelsea with 11. But it just spoils the game, man. And I don't like VAR. I don't agree with it. I think it's too much. It's not being used correctly as well, which isn't helping it. So I've got to say I am VAR out. Even though, yes, most times it probably does get to the right decision. For me, it slows the game down. It's disjointed. And like I say, ultimately it's down to human error and human opinion. It's just someone behind a monitor rather than someone holding a whistle that's making the decision. Don't know if you want to add any more to that, Meg.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is that it's not been brought in and explained properly, I think, to a lot of people, because I think this whole there's a lot of talk about being clear and obvious errors.
Mm-hmm.
I can't get out of my head this Gendouzi foul in the box. He's pulled someone down.
Lord
right?
Farquaad.
It turned on last season. We were like, oh, this won't happen next season because we'll all have VAR in and we can check this and we can check that and they'll give the penalty if you hold people in the box. The guy has headlocked the bloke round the neck, pulled him down, put his arms in the air like I didn't do it. First instant, that's the first case you know you've done something. You put your arms in the air like I didn't do it.
Yeah.
You did. Then they didn't even check it. They didn't even say to the rest of the year, he just pulled him down, go and have a look.
Yeah.
Nothing. And it was like, that's clear and obvious to me.
Yeah, I agree. I remember that happening. It was Lord Farquaad, Soyuncu, who got pulled down, and obviously he's looking around like, what the hell, why is that not given? He grabbed him on the shoulder, Gendouzi, and he pulled him down. I remember Smalling is known for holding players in the box, and we said we were scared he's going to concede lots of penalties this season because of doing that, because of VAR. And yeah, you're right, it wasn't even said. I mean, there's a good point here from Robert. He says, it should be like you have 3 challenges, so coaches have 3 challenges in the game. If they wish to challenge it, the ref then uses VAR to go and check it. If VAR agrees with the coach's point of view, for example, if you think you should have a penalty, we'll use that Gendouzi example. If Brendan Rodgers says, I want to challenge that decision, I want to check VAR, if VAR agrees with it, then it will be a penalty. If it doesn't, then obviously you play on as normal, and that's 1 challenge lost. It's an interesting way to discuss it, to be fair. I mean, 3 challenges per team.
I think it is. I think that would be very hard to man because in football you've got the management, but you've also got the players on the pitch. Now, if that happens and the management team doesn't see it in time, and the player says, "Yeah, challenge it," then that's got to be communicated, and then
checked.
The management have got to say, "Well, we don't know whether we should or not," and the player saying, "Yeah, it was definitely a foul." So I think that's quite hard to maintain because I do think that it is a good idea to know that, like, obviously in cricket they have a limited amount of challenges. They have a limited amount of challenges, but I just don't see how that would transfer into a team game where you've got a manager and the players on the pitch and it's such a fast pace that I don't think the communication would be there. But I do think that there needs to be something put in place because because we'll go back to that clear and obvious. That was the very clear and very obvious foul, but it wasn't a clear and obvious mistake by a referee. Well, I don't know, it was a mistake because he didn't even blow his whistle for a penalty. But to either back the referee and say, yeah, you made the right decision when he makes one, or say you made a wrong decision because he made a decision, whereas because he hasn't made a decision on that foul, is that why it's not clear and obvious? I don't know, but
yeah, I agree. It would take up a lot of time. There's a weird sound coming from your side again, by the way. But yeah, it would take up a lot of time, and I think that I just want to get rid of VAR. I like the debating we had after games, to be honest with you. I like how we could go back and moan about a certain decision, moan about an offside, moan about a goal that shouldn't have been disallowed. Yes, at the time you don't like it, but afterwards, you know what? Football's about opinions, and I like the debate we used to have. But yeah, I'm against VAR. I don't want it. I'm VAR out. VAR, Liverpool, as I like to call them, they're going to win the league, and I think VAR is going to help them with that as well. But they deserve to win the league, we have to be honest. But yeah, thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. I'm going to cut the stream there because I know United stand alive very shortly as well. I do not want to overlap with that. But yeah, Meg, thank you again for coming on. It's been great having you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining in with us. Like I said at the very start, we've had such good feedback, and I've really enjoyed doing it so far. So keep joining in with us. You know, it's a weekly show now, and if you ever want to hear anything or want to discuss any topics, then let us know. And we'll be back, won't we?
We will be back, yeah. I think next week, Meg, we'll do a bit of a Q&A. I think it'd be good for people because there's a few people asking if we play football, who's the better player out of us two and stuff like that. And I think that'll be good to have a bit of a Q&A next week. So we'll both do a tweet out about that and get you guys to send in some questions. But yeah, pleasure to have Meg on. I think this show is a real big success. And like I say, your support means a lot to us. It's fantastic. Thank you to everyone in the chat. Thank you for the super chats. Really do appreciate it. It means a lot. Hope you all have a lovely evening. Hopefully England win tomorrow, regardless. Sterling obviously isn't there, but hopefully we still see a lot of goals and we see an exciting performance. International break is boring. We need something to wake us up a little bit, let's face it. We look forward to watching Man United play again. But yeah, drop a comment on the video if we've missed your questions. We don't mean it. Please do drop a comment. We will respond in the chats there. Drop a like as well, and of course hit that sub button if you haven't already. Take care, guys. Have a lovely evening. See ya.
Bye bye.